For some time I've wanted to play through Hansjürg Rohrer's Locsim, which is a professional-grade train simulator that's often linked into, fake control stands, real control stands that have been modified, and so on for training professionals. You can get a desktop computer version, which you can see here. This is version 2.7 from around 2004 or so. But I can't seem to get it to work. See, it needs to have data files loaded, just like most simulators. But it doesn't come with anything already loaded, and it's far from clear what to load in what situation, and how many obstacles I'm facing which are a problem with the program as opposed to a problem with my setup. Actually, if anybody could give me advice about how to set up a simple demo run with this simulator for a playthrough, I would be grateful, because I would like to review it actually. In overall terms, the project is very interesting. See, I'm just showing you what I did here. This is the main reason I'm going through all of these different setup modes here. And I'm mentioning that it froze there, and then I get an error showing, open broadcaster over there, which I was obviously using to record this. So I don't know what a constants file is in this context. I don't know what new would mean. I don't know how to load an existing track, which is really what I want to do, because I don't want to build something for a simulator that I haven't even tried and don't understand. You can supposedly load your locomotive separately, and I even have a whole bunch of things designated already, a locomotive, a route. For some reason it just won't load, and I can't figure out why. The simulation start menu there is just grayed out, so I can't just select it. And here I'm getting like a partial freeze. My note there says so. So I struggle and I struggle. I find all these interesting menus, and it would be great to know how to use them. Surprisingly, the manual is not available in English, to the best of my knowledge. And part of the problem is that as this simulator has become more and more successful, it's been taken off the website, or at least this demo has been taken off the website. So it doesn't look like a lot of effort is being made into producing a publicly available manual. It looks as if the company, which has now been formed by Professor Rohrer, is focusing on professional customers that they can build custom systems for based on the, basic software, I would presume. Relatively few railroads that have the budget use PCs-based simulators. It's just like the airlines. The airlines prefer a cockpit mock-up. The railroads also prefer a cab mock-up with actual controls that have been wired up to the computer, which by itself is quite a project, but people do it, including hobbyists. It's not just the railroads. Getting an old locomotive can be rather expensive if you're only buying it to play video games, though. Tens of thousands of dollars sometimes. So it's a rich person's hobby in that way. But see, I'm just struggling with this. I'm just trying to figure out what it is I'm supposed to load. And in what order. Sometimes the order that you load parameters into a simulator matters. I should assert here that I have nothing against the simulator at all. It looks really cool from the pictures I've seen. The newer versions are, of course, far better than this version, because this version looks to have been thrown together just by the professor at, incidentally, University of Berne in Switzerland. And this is an earlier incarnation of it. But it looks like it would be great to try if I could get it to work. Well, it just fights and fights here. Basically because I don't know what I'm doing, I think. I think, given that I've had older software running on my computer than this, it's probably not incompatibility, especially because I have it running in Windows XP compatibility mode, as you may have seen at the very beginning of this video. So I'm just fiddling with things until I can get something to work here, and in the end I was unsuccessful. Part of my problem is I don't know Swiss equipment very well. I've ridden trains in Switzerland, but I've never studied Swiss trains in the kind of depth that I've studied like American trains, British trains, and so on. It's a great system. Nothing wrong with Swiss trains. But this simulator is really a can of worms for me. That calls up your specs for your train, so at least I have that figured out. It's nice to have. Professor Rohrer originally wanted this to be used to test different sets of parameters for electric trains so that you could check the engineering of them before you spent money on building a prototype. So it's CAD, but it isn't. It's sort of an engineering simulator, which makes it very interesting, in my opinion. But I don't know what I'm doing here. It's really a shame. I really could use a manual of this, either in English or Easy German. And I don't think it would be in Easy German if it's a professional grade train simulator. Interestingly, one of the more notable projects on the internet is by French speakers. They built a Class 420, maybe Swiss Railways. I guess it's Swiss Railways because they're Swiss, so they speak French. I'll find pictures of it here. First of all, there's the PC-based simulator, the modern one, which is photorealistic, unlike this one. So that's, I guess, worth looking at. And then, of course, you can go halfway to a full mock-up by having a rail driver style gamer's control stand there. But of course, what's really interesting is that this software will work with a converted locomotive cab. So an actual mock-up or scrapped locomotive cab. So when we get the pictures to come up here, I don't know what class that is. But if I'm not mistaken, we go down to the bottom here. Yeah, so Swiss class 420 electric. Actually built by some French-speaking, presumably Swiss students. But in any case, there's another Locsim out there. It's this one, built by some German hobbyists. It's completely freeware, and it is really nice. So I thought, well, if I can't play through the original Locsim, maybe I should play through the, other Locsim, which was developed a few years later. The original Locsim is from the mid-90s, roughly. But this one is from 1999, so it's roughly contemporary with 3D Railroad Master and with Zusi. So it was spectacular for its time, very, very impressive. Better, arguably, than Microsoft Train Simulator, although supposedly the original version of it wasn't as good. One of the things I'd like to know is how to get exterior views of the train, because a lot of these screenshots that they have on the website are exterior views, and I don't know how they did that. I'm a little bit surprised by that. But in my next video, I'm going to actually play through a route on Locsim 3D, this version of Locsim, because it looks really nice. So I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.